What went into?
You guys made it up from celebrating?
Smell like you.
You guys don't get it, Phillies fans?
Phillies, yes.
I got a question for you. Why was there 2 Monday night games last night?
They're having two next week as well.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you think clicked this week versus last week? Why such improvement?
Yeah, I thought our players played really well from start to finish. You know, that offense in their first few games was pretty prolific, both running and throwing. Thought our guys had a good mindset to go in there and play good. Knew that they had a good defense too, and you know, if we were going to win, it probably would be a low-scoring game. So, all the credit to our guys.
Is playing Milton on the end sustainable in when you go heavy at 4?
Milton?
Milton Williams.
Yeah.
And what went into that thinking, that movement?
Yeah, just to get another bigger body and present a different front.
With that front, how much were you kind of leveraging performance from Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis? I don't know if you call it a mug front. I'm not, where did that kind of inspiration come from as well?
The front?
Yeah.
We've played that in the past, you know, not here per se up to this point, but in other places. And, you know, it's a front that we'll mix in some when we feel we need it.
Brandon Graham's 36. I don't know how 36-year-olds are supposed to play, but what have you seen from him? And has his production and that snap count being that high for a guy his age is that sustainable?
I think so, because it's not just the snap count. You know, when you're in the 30s, and if they're spread out, you know, a couple at a time, rather than not 12 in a row. So I think the snap count is one thing, but how are they coming is more important. And he's playing good, and I don't see him being tired. So, I mean, just that he's playing at that age is good. I mean, it's rare. So, I don't know why we can't expect more rare.
What's the plan with
Can
Bryce going?
I just follow up real quick, Dave? Has anything about the way he's played surprised you, considering, I mean, we kind of thought he was going on a little retirement tour and wave goodbye, and it's been
Yeah. You know, me personally, I didn't have expectations one way or the other. But as training camp wore on, I started telling him that you're not on a tour and you're going to play. And he's played good.
What's the plan going forward with Bryce?
Much the same as it's been. You know, he'll be mixed in there just along with the rest of the guys. We got five guys dressed. We're mixing 4 of them, and it's been pretty much be the same, I think.
When Slay went out, Keely went in. Is that just because he's more familiar with that side of the field versus Isaiah?
No, it was just Keely was, you know, up and ready to go for the game because if we had played any 6 DBs, he would have been in there. We just thought the guys on the sideline, he was more into it and ready to go and spur of the moment thing. And if, you know, if this had happened earlier in the game and there's still a lot of football to play, probably would have seen Isaiah out there.
It looks like the safeties flip-flopped during in these past 2 games where Reed was playing the boundary side and CJ the field side, and it was different in week 1. What went into that?
Yeah, we've kind of played boundary and field at times with other places I've been. We've played right and left. You know, you kind of adjust to what you think your guys do best and with what you're doing on defense. And there's a lot of things that go into it, and there's no perfect formula, but that's what we've settled into for these last 2 games. Doesn't mean that's what it will be going forward.
How would you describe what CJ brings to this team?
You know, he's got his rare personality, as we know. I think he's got to be careful that he doesn't let it go to where he gets a penalty. And but he brings a lot of enthusiasm and energy to his play.
Have you had any talks with him about be careful, don't go over? I mean, because there are times he's really close to going over.
Yeah, we have.
With Huff against the run particularly, it seemed like containing the edge was a priority for you guys. I don't know on the 3rd play if he was supposed to be pushing so far in and then the bounce outside learning that? Like, what's gone into that for him, and was that part of the reason why he wasn't in positions like that the rest of the game?
Yeah, he needed to be, hold the force on that play, to answer your question.
And
Hey,
how's
what
he
did
been?
Denver do to get to Baker Mayfield 7 times?
They rushed good. They got out to a lead, pretty substantial lead in the first half. It kind of got them into a little bit more of a throwing mode, and things kind of snowballed.
The first 2 weeks, tackling was an issue, and I believe you guys missed like 3 tackles the other day. What, if anything, did you clean up during the week in order to have a performance like that?
A better front play. Backs weren't running through holes and getting into the secondary where it becomes harder to tackle.
What
What do you
of
think,
changed with Jalen, or did anything to have that his performance in the first 2 weeks versus what he did against the Saints?
Yeah, he obviously, this past game was his best game by far, and hopefully that will set the trend moving forward. I don't know what actually triggered it other than, we as a D-line unit didn't play good in the previous game, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
with a player like that who is so talented, what's the key to making sure that he's consistent with it?
Just keeping him on point on a day-in, day-out basis, not just game day, but practice also, because, the way you practice usually is the way you'll play.
What goes into Reed's, I think he's got 6 interceptions and 24 starts in his career. What goes into that ability to be a ball hawk?
He's got good hands. Both of his picks this year are carbon copies, very tough catches that a lot of guys couldn't make. So his ability to catch the ball is one thing. 2, he does have a good feel for the game. And when he has a chance to be in position to make a play, he usually can. But the ability to catch the ball is number one.
It may be early to talk about tendencies through 3 games, but both the Falcons and the Saints use more 11 personnel than they had previously. Whenever you go in, do you react to that, or it seemed like you were using base more against the Saints, or do you kind of dictate it more on your end? Was that a response?
Well, the Saints weren't playing 11, so we were able to play more base. And I'm sure we'll see a good bit of 11 this week. That is their primary group through their first 3 games.
2 more, we got
So
Yes, that is their
they
primary.
run a lot of
group.
11. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the third most in the league. What does that change any thing for you in terms of how you want to use that 4-man front?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be able to use it. I mean, you can't recreate the wheel every week. But we're going to have to mix it for them, and it comes down to fundamentals. We're going to have to play better than we played 2 weeks ago against a very similar run game.
You spoke about Jalen Carter, but what part of his performance do you, as the defensive coordinator, appreciate the most than maybe we on the outside?
I just think he played with better technique and better fundamentals, which came through a better focus. And then that led to good effort, and you saw got some batted balls, pressured the quarterback. When you do the little things right a bunch of times, things start to add up, and you get the plays that everybody wants to see. And I just think he was playing with a better mindset and better fundamentals.
When it comes to Zach
Last one we got,
Ball,
Kellen.
when it comes to Zach Ball, he had the really good first game, a little bit of a dip, comes back. How important is that to adjust, and how do you get consistency of a guy who's still learning that position?
Well, I think in his case he will. I mean, he's a quick learner. He doesn't usually make the same mistake twice. He's got good football instinct and IQ, which is critical for any defensive position, but especially IOB. And, we'll continue to be able to use his versatility. But I really thought he played a really good game this past Sunday, and I'm sure going against his old team had him revved up a little bit more.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.